Hello students, how are you all? I hope you are doing well. Today we are going to discuss chapter 7, Weather, Climate and Adaptation. Let's warm up. Write your observation in the given table. Here we have place, climate. So students, here you have to write the climate of these places. So you can do it by yourself. Let's know about weather, factors affecting climate, climate and adaptations, the tropical region, hot and dry region. So student, these are the topics we are going to discuss in this chapter. Here we have weather. If the temperature on a day is low, we see that the weather is cold. If the temperature around is high on a particular day, we see that the weather is hot today. And if there is moisture in the air, that means lots of water vapor present in air, we see that the weather is too humid. Hence, weather describes the conditions of the atmosphere over a short period of time or as the day-to-day condition of the atmosphere. Factors like rainfall, temperature, humidity, cloudiness, winds and pressure are called the elements of weather. So students, वेदर इज दैट जो आपके डे टू डे चीजों को जो है डिस्क्राइब करते हैं, दैट इज योर वेदर. लुक एट दिस पिक्चर. हियर वी हैव hot and humid weather. Weather is of different types. Some types of weather are hot, cold, sunny, cloudy, dry, humid, foggy, windy and rainy. The weather at a place changes day after day and week after week. It can be sunny weather in the morning, but suddenly clouds may appear and it becomes cloudy. And if it starts raining, then it becomes rainy weather. Here we have maximum and minimum temperature. During the day, the highest temperature that is reached is called the maximum temperature, and the lowest temperature during the day is called the minimum temperature. The maximum and minimum temperatures are recorded at a place every day to prepare weather reports. A special type of thermometer is used to record the maximum and minimum temperature reached during a day. Here we have, do you know, sun is the primary cause for change in weather. So student, अगर हम weather की बात करें तो weather क्या है कि आपके temperature को define करता है, और एक दिन का जो सबसे highest temperature होता है, that is the maximum temperature of that day, and the minimum temperature, that means जो lowest temperature, that is the minimum temperature of that day. वो हम मेजर किससे करते हैं? डिफरेंट टाइप के थर्मोमीटर से मेजर करते हैं, और ये सब चीजें हेल्प करती हैं किसी भी वेदर की रिपोर्ट को प्रिपेयर करने में. हियर वी हैव एन एक्टिविटी स्टूडेंट्स. लुक हियर, एक्टिविटी 1. द वेदर रिपोर्ट ऑफ अ सिटी फ्रॉम अ न्यूज़पेपर इज शोन हियर. So student, this is a weather report of a city. You can see here. Compare the given report with the weather forecast of your city reported today in a local newspaper. Using data given in both the reports, fill in the table given below. So students, what you have to do? Like this table, you have to observe the table in newspaper and you have to make this table here. Please note that the maximum temperature of the day generally occurs in the afternoon and the minimum temperature of the day generally occurs in the early morning. Look here. Maximum minimum thermometer. Do you know? The scientific study of weather is called meteorology. Scientists who study and predict weather are known as meteorologists. Here we have elements of weather. First, temperature. Temperature is the measure of how cold or hot a place is. Second, humidity. The amount of water vapor present in the atmosphere is called humidity. Water evaporates from rivers, lakes and oceans and becomes water vapor that mixes with the air. Humidity is higher in tropical regions. Humidity is measured by an instrument called hygrometer. Look here student, look at this picture. This is hygrometer. Then we have wind speed. Wind is simply moving air. It blows because of the uneven heating of the earth. The air may move slowly, creating a gentle breeze, or it may move very fast, creating stronger, more powerful winds. Winds affect weather to great extent. For forecasting weather, both the direction and speed of the winds should be measured. So student, these are the components of weather: temperature, humidity, wind, and many other things. Here we have an activity again students. Activity, make a weather poster. So student, you have to make a poster. Look here. Read newspapers and old magazines and try to cut as many reports as possible related to weather. Now make a poster using your cuttings and show it in the class and discuss how the weather affects the work. So student, you have to perform this activity. It is interesting and you can do it. Here we have check and mate. You can do it by yourself as we already read about these things. Now students, we are going to read factors affecting climate. Factors that affect climate are as follows. So student, now we will read about the factors affecting climate. Here we have latitude. It is the distance from the equator. Different parts of the earth receive different amounts of heat from the sun. Places at high latitudes far from equator have less sunlight and places at low latitudes close to the equator receive more sunlight. Therefore, places at the equator have high temperature than the places towards the pole. So student, फर्स्ट फैक्टर आपको दिया गया है लैटिट्यूड. अगर हम लैटिट्यूड की बात करें, ये डिस्टेंस होती है जो इक्वेटर से जो डिस्टेंस है दैट इज लैटिट्यूड. और जो अगर हम सनलाइट या हीट की बात करते हैं जो आपके इक्वेटर से बहुत दूर है, वहां पर सनलाइट कम जाती है. जो इक्वेटर के बहुत पास है वहां पर सनलाइट बहुत ज्यादा होती है. नाउ वी हैव डिस्टेंस फ्रॉम द सी. The sea moderate effect on climates. A distance from the sea increases the effect, decreases, and places experience extreme weather. The coastal areas have moderate climate and weather remains unchanged. So student, अगर हम distance from sea की बात करें तो जो हमारी coastal areas होते हैं, that means जो near by area है sea के, वहाँ पे जो climate है वो moderate होती है. That means वहाँ पर बहुत ज़्यादा weather change नहीं होता है. Then we have humidity and rainfall. The climate is affected by amount of rainfall. It depends on the closeness to sea and the direction of wind. Then we have altitude or height above the sea level. The temperature decreases as altitude increases. You must have observed that the temperature on the mountain is lower as compared to the temperature on the plains. Get it, students? Now we have climate and adaptations. Climate has a great effect on all the living organisms, plants and animals. The living organisms have certain favorable characteristics like body shape and structure, color, size, behavior and food habits suited to climate, special features in their body or develop certain habits to survive in their habitats or surroundings. The favorable characteristics, features and habits which enables the living organisms better suited to survive and breed in their surroundings habitat is called adaptation. So student, अगर हम adaptation की बात करते हैं तो adaptation क्या है? देखो, हर कोई एनिमल हो या इंसान हो, हम जहाँ रहते हैं उस जगह, उस एरिया, उस क्लाइमेट की हमें आदत हो जाती है. यू आर लिविंग इन अ प्लेन. अगर आप सपोज प्लेन में रहते हैं और आप माउंटेन्स पे जाते हैं तो वहां की चीजें आपको डिफरेंट लगती हैं. वहां की वेदर डिफरेंट है, क्लाइमेट डिफरेंट है, आपको वहां पे खुद को पॉप अप करने में बहुत टाइम लगता है. वैसे ही एनिमल्स के लिए भी है कि कुछ एनिमल्स बहुत ठंड में रह सकते हैं लेकिन कुछ एनिमल्स बहुत गर्म जगहों पर रहते हैं, लाइक कैमल. सो स्टूडेंट, दीज आर थिंग्स एडेप्टेशन. दैट मीन्स हमारा हैबिटेट क्या है, हमारी एडेप्टेशंस क्या है. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू रीड अबाउट द पोलर रीजन्स. The area situated near the north and south poles of the earth are called the polar regions. So student, जो area north और south pole के पास है that is polar region. Now we have features of polar regions. The polar regions have an extreme cold climate. These regions are covered with snow and it is very cold for most of the year. So student, आप सबको पता है कि polar regions पे बहुत ज्यादा ठंड होती है और वो almost time क्या होता है, cover होते हैं snow से. Now we have in winters the temperature can be as low as minus 370 degrees Celsius. For 6 months, the sun does not set at the poles, while for the other 6 months, the sun does not rise. So, students, these are the conditions of polar regions. Polar bear, penguins, musk deer, oxen reindeer, foxes, seals, whales, and many types of fish and birds are adapted to live in extremely cold temperatures. So, students, as you know that कुछ animals हमारे हैं जो कहाँ पे रहते हैं, पोलर रीजन में रहते हैं. नाउ लेट्स सी हाउ दीज एनिमल्स आर एडेप्टेड इन पोलर रीजन्स बाय कंसीडरिंग द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ पोलर बियर्स एंड पेंगुइन. सो स्टूडेंट्स, अब हम रीड करेंगे कि उनकी एडेप्टेशंस क्या हैं. नाउ वी हैव एडेप्टेशंस इन पोलर बियर्स. पोलर बियर्स शो फॉलोइंग एडेप्टेशंस टू पोलर कंडीशंस. फर्स्ट, polar bears have white fur. Because of this, they are not visible in the snowy white background. That means they camouflage with the surroundings. Thick fur on the body of polar bears retain the body heat and protects them from extreme cold. The paws of polar bears are wide and large, having claws. These help them to walk on snow comfortably. There is a thick layer of fat under the furry skin. This is also insulates their body. During winter, bear sleeps in their dens. They live on stored body fat until spring. तो स्टूडेंट अगर हम बात करें तो पोलर बियर क्या करते हैं, विंटर सीजन में वो अपनी डेंस में सो जाते हैं और स्प्रिंग में बाहर आते हैं. तो उनकी कुछ जैसे उनकी स्किन बहुत मोटी होती है, फर होते हैं व्हाइट कलर के. सो दीज आर द एडेप्टेशंस ऑफ पोलर बियर. डू यू नो द थिक fur and fat layer provides so much of insulation that polar bears have to move slowly and rest often to avoid being overheated. Now students, look at these pictures. We have polar bear, penguin. Now students, we are going to read about the adaptations in penguins. Another well-known animal living in the polar region is the penguin. Penguins are marine, flightless birds of Antarctic region. Penguins hunt for fish which they eat as food. Penguins can live in the extremely cold climate to the polar region due to following adaptations. I think the students, you all know about penguin. आप सब penguin को जानते हैं. penguin किसका जो है शिकार करती है, fishes का, और वो polar region में रहती है. उसकी adaptations अब हम read करेंगे. Here we have a penguin has thick skin and a layer of fat called blubber below its skin, which keeps it warm in extreme cold climate. Penguins huddle together in groups to keep themselves warm. Each group may comprise of several thousands of penguins. Penguin is white in color and black colored feathers on its back. The color merges well with the white surrounding of snow. The black colored feathers on the penguin's back absorb heat from the sun and help it to keep warm during the day. Then we have, like polar bears, penguins are also excellent swimmers. They have streamlined body, flipper-like wings, and webbed feet, making them good swimmers. Do you know? Penguins nest in groups that may reach a population of million birds at a time. So student, आपने देखा कि penguins की skin भी thick होती है, penguins अच्छी swimmer होती हैं, और penguins का जो black color के feathers हैं वो heat absorb करते हैं sun से, उसको warm रखने में help करते हैं. और penguins बहुत groups में रहती हैं ताकि वहां पर उनके आपस में जो है warm बना रहे. Now we are going to read about the migration. The seasonal movement of the complete population of animals from one area to another is termed as migration. It is usually a response to the change in temperature, food supply, or the amount of daylight, and is usually undertaken for the purpose of breeding. Mammals, insects, fish, and birds all migrate to the places where they get favorable conditions. Look at this picture, migration of birds. The Siberian cranes migrate from Russia to India as the winters approach. The migration route stretches for 4,000 miles. So students, अगर हम migration की बात करें तो migration कब होता है? जो हमारी birds हैं, animals हैं या insects हैं, वो migration करते हैं due to temperature. कुछ एनिमल्स ऐसे हैं जो सिर्फ ठंड में ही रहते हैं, तो वो अपनी गर्मियों में वो जगह चेंज कर देते हैं. जैसे आपको एग्जांपल दिया गया है साइबेरियन क्रेन्स का, जो रशिया से इंडिया आते हैं, एंड द वे इज 4,000 माइल्स. तो डिस्टेंस क्या है बच्चों? 4,000 माइल्स. लेकिन वो उसको कवर करके इंडिया आते हैं ड्यूरिंग विंटर सीजन. नाउ वी हैव चेक एंड मेट. You can do it by yourself, as we already read about these things. Now we are going to read about the tropical region. The areas which lies close to the equator is called tropical region. It extends between 10 degree north and 10 degree south. The tropical region generally has a hot climate because of its location around the equator. During hot summer days, the temperature in this region may go above 40 degrees Celsius. Even in the coldest month, the temperature is generally higher than about 15 degrees Celsius. The tropical regions get plenty of rainfall. This makes the region humid. Thus, the tropical regions have hot and humid climate. In tropical regions, days and nights are almost equal in length throughout the year. An important feature of the tropical regions of Earth is the tropical rainforest. Tropical rainforests are found in India, Southeast Asia, Central America, and Central Africa. The major types of animals living in the tropical rainforest are lions, tigers, leopards, elephants, monkeys, apes, lion-tailed macaque, gorillas, birds, snakes, lizards, frogs, and insects, एक्सेट्रा। स्टूडेंट अगर हम ट्रॉपिकल रीजन की बात करें तो 10 डिग्री नॉर्थ से 10 डिग्री साउथ में होता है। जो वहाँ की क्लाइमेट है दैट इज हॉट एंड ह्यूमिड होती है बिकॉज वो इक्वेटर के पास होता है। डे एंड नाइट की जो आपकी ड्यूरेशन है वो भी ऑलमोस्ट इक्वल होती है, दैट मीन्स ऑफ 12 आवर्स। और अब अगर हम ट्रॉपिकल रीजन की बात करें तो ट्रॉपिकल रीजन जो है वहां पर ट्रॉपिकल फॉरेस्ट होते हैं, जैसे इंडिया में है, सेंट्रल अमेरिका में है। तो वो जो ट्रॉपिकल रेन फॉरेस्ट है वहां पर बहुत सारे एनिमल्स रहते हैं, जैसे लायन है, लेपर्ड है, लिजार्ड एंड सो मेनी एनिमल्स। नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू रीड अबाउट द some of the adaptations in animals living in tropical rainforest। तो अब स्टूडेंट्स हम किसकी adaptations पढ़ेंगे? उन एनिमल्स की जो रेन फॉरेस्ट में रहते हैं। The skin color which helps them to camouflage, which means mix up with the surroundings and hide, that helps them to catch prey and protect themselves from the predator. Development of trunk, tusks and large ears and feet. Sharp eyesight, sensitive hearing and thick skin. Living on trees. Now we are going to read about the adaptation in big cats. The wild animals such as lions, tigers, leopards, etc. are called big cats. So students, ये सब क्या है? Big cats. Look here, we have some pictures. Lion, tiger. The big cats, lions and tigers are carnivores. They only eat the meat or flesh of other animals. The big cats hunt and kill animals such as deer to obtain food. The following adaptations provide them big cats to live and survive in tropical rainforest. तो स्टूडेंट्स, आप सबको पता है कि लायंस और टाइगर्स क्या करते हैं? शिकार करते हैं और दूसरे एनिमल्स के फ्लैश को ही खाते हैं। नाउ वी हैव द बिग कैट्स हैव अ हाईली डेवलप्ड सेंस ऑफ स्मेल व्हिच हेल्प्स देम टू लोकेट देयर प्रे। Big cats also have sensitive hearing and this also helps them to find their prey. The yellow-brown color of lions and the yellow-brown color with black strips of tigers help them to hide in the forest without being seen easily. The camouflage or blending with the surrounding helps the big cats to catch their prey easily. The lion and tiger have eyes in front of their head which enable them to have a correct idea of the location of their prey. They have long, strong and sharp claws in their front legs to catch their prey. So students, ये सारी क्या है? Adaptations है आपके lions और tigers की। क्या कि वो जो है prey को पकड़ते हैं, उनकी जो हेड है उस पे आई होती है जो हेल्प करती है लोकेट करने में कि उनका जो शिकार है वो कहाँ पर है। थर्डली जो उनकी स्किन है वो बहुत इस कलर से मैच होती है कि सराउंडिंग में मैच होती है, वो छुप जाते हैं और वहां से अपने प्रे को पकड़ते हैं। So these are some adaptations of lions and tigers. Now we have adaptations in toucan. Toucan is a wonderful bird with a strange looking beak. Toucan's beak is long and large. It has brightly colored feathers. Toucans live on the trees in tropical rainforest. It spends most of the time in the holes of the big trees. A toucan eats fruit from the trees. The various adaptations which help the toucan to live and survive in its habitat on the trees in rainforest are as follows. So students, now we are going to read about the adaptations of toucan. The first we have, toucan has a long and large beak. The long and large beak helps a toucan to reach the fruits attached to the end of even thin branches of trees which are too weak to support its weight. Thus, a long and a large beak is an adaptation in toucan for getting the unreachable fruits at the ends of very thin branches of trees. The large beak also helps in the temporary storage of fruits being collected by toucan. The feet of toucan are adapted for grasping the branches of trees firmly. A toucan has the ability to change the color of its feather in order to blend or mix up with the surroundings. Due to this adaptation, toucan is not noticed easily by the predators. Look at this picture. This is toucan. So student, these are some adaptations of toucan. Now we are going to read about the adaptations in red-eyed frog. The red-eyed frog lives on the trees in the tropical rainforest and has big and blazing bright red eyes. So it is called red-eyed frog. It does not live in water. The red-eyed frog has a green back and a creamy during the day and becomes active and feeds mainly at night. It spends most of the time hidden on the undesirable of trees' leaves. Following are the various adaptations which helps the red-eyed frog to live and survive on the trees in the rainforest habitat. The first we have, red-eyed frog has developed sticky pads on its feet which help it to climb easily on the trees on which it lives and to attach itself on to the branches and leaves of the trees. So students, अगर हम रेड आइड फ्रॉग की बात करें तो वो पानी में नहीं रहता है, कहाँ रहता है? पेड़ों पर रहता है और मेनली रात को फीड करता है. The second adaptation we have, the big and blazing bright red eyes of the frog are an adaptation for protection. This can be explained as follows. If a predator enemy wakes up the sleeping red-eyed frog during daytime, its big and bright red eyes pop open suddenly. Here we have red-eyed frog. The sudden opening of big and bright red eyes frightens the predator momentarily and the frog gets time to jump to safe place. Then we have the green color of the red-eyed frog helps it to hide within the green leaves of the trees unnoticed by its prey. The red-eyed frog has a very good eyesight which helps it to see very clearly at night. Since the red-eyed frog is carnivore, it can eat any type of insect as food. So students, these are the adaptations of red-eyed frog. Now we are going to read about the hot and dry region. Most desert animals are only active during the coolest parts of the day, dawn and dusk, and or at night. This way they avoid high temperatures and are able to forage efficiently. Burrowing in another strategy desert animals use to avoid the extreme heat. Some rodents even plug their burrows entrance keep out the heat. Here we have camels. Camels are herbivores. They eat desert vegetation such as grasses, herbs and leaves. Deserts are hot and dry. Winds blows scent all around, so a camel has long eyelashes. The long eyelashes keep scent out of the camel's eyes. Thick eyebrows shield the eyes from the desert sun. A camel's nostrils can open and close so it does not sense up its nose. A camel can go a week or more without water and they can live for several months without food. It stores fat in its hump. When needed, this fat can be metabolized for energy. The feet are wide so camels can walk on sand more easily. Their huge feet help them to walk on sand without sinking into it. Thick lips help them in eating the prickly desert plants without feeling pain. The color of their bodies helps them to blend into their surroundings. The ears are covered with the hair on both sides so that blowing desert sand does not enter them. So students, अगर हम camels को discuss करें तो camels क्या है? Desert में रहने वाला एक animal है. आप सबको पता है कैमल जो है फैट जो है स्टोर करता है अपने हम्प में. वो कुछ महीने बिना खाए रह सकता है. वो पानी भी एक एक हफ्ते में पीता है. क्यों? क्योंकि वो पानी को स्टोर कर लेता है. सेकेंडली उसके जो पैर है, जो फीट है, वो काफी बड़े बड़े होते हैं ताकि वो सैंड पे इजिली वॉक कर सके. Now we are going to read about the kangaroo rat. These desert rodents plug the opening of their burrows. This helps them to recycle the moisture from, look at this picture student, this is kangaroo rat, moisture from their breath. Additionally, many of these rodents have developed highly specialized methods of keeping water in their bodies. Their kidneys have extra tubules that remove water from their urine and put it back into the blood. Their nasal passage does not allow water vapor to escape when they exhale. So students, these are kangaroo rats and these are their adaptations. Now we are going to read about the desert snake. Snakes are able to survive in the desert because of some special adaptations. They have special scales which do not allow loss of much water. They can hibernate to reduce their body temperature. These snakes are able to retain water by excreting uric acid as opposed to urea. Uric acid is an insoluble wild compound that contains very little water. Here we have a picture of desert snake. So students, what we learn in this chapter, now we are going to discuss it in a nutshell. The weather of a place on a particular day comprises of the atmospheric conditions in that place on that day. The weather of a place on a particular day comprises of atmosphere. The weather is generally not the same on any 2 days and also week after week. A hygrometer is used to measure relative humidity. The time of sunrise and sunset also changes during the year. So students, here we have some keywords. Look here. Weather, the day-to-day condition of the atmosphere at a place. Climate, the average weather pattern at a place taken over a long period of time. Then we have humidity, presence of water vapor in atmosphere. Then we have migration, an adaptation to escape the harsh and cold conditions of normal habitat in winter so as to survive for birds and animals. Then we have adaptations, the favorable characteristics which enable the living organisms better fitted to survive and breed in their surroundings. So students, these are some keywords. Thank you, students. We will meet again in the next chapter. Till then, revise what we learned today.